Hey everyone, Paul here from freeyournow.com, and this is Driving with Paul, episode number 12. In this episode, I want to talk about how to overcome your fear of embarrassment, your fear of public speaking, your fear of being ridiculed in public. And these are very common fears that a lot of us have, and I think pretty much everybody to some degree has this fear in their lives. And what I've discovered in my life is that this fear can actually be very paralyzing, and it's probably one of the main reasons why a lot of people don't succeed in their lives and don't achieve their dreams and don't make their dreams happen, because they have this fear of being judged, being embarrassed in public, being ridiculed by others, and any situations that they can think of, any situation they put themselves in where their mind starts to think, oh, wait a second, we could be judged on this, people could make fun of us, we could be laughed at. Any situations like that, what will happen is your mind will try to avoid them, because the stress associated with looking like a fool, being judged, being ridiculed is so great that your mind will invent all kinds of amazing excuses and ways to avoid such situations at all costs. And the reality is that if you're going to live a life where you're manifesting your dreams and making things happen in your life, you're going to have to be put in positions and situations where being judged may happen, right? You might have to stand up in front of a group of people and say something. You might have to put on a workshop. You might have to share your opinion with others. These situations may happen, and chances are everything will probably work out fine. But there is that possibility that somebody might judge you, somebody may make fun of you, somebody may ridicule you. And if you have this fear that might happen, first of all, you're going to manifest it more often anyways, because whatever you fear, you're going to manifest in your life anyway. But also this fear can paralyze you from achieving and doing the things that you need to do in order to achieve success. So how do we overcome this fear? And what I want to talk about today is basically a method that I've discovered, almost I would say kind of by accident, that allows you to overcome this fear in a really simple, basic, and gentle way that doesn't throw you into a mode where you're kind of freaking out. And that method is basically blogging. Okay, so I've been blogging for about 9 years now, and what I've discovered is that over that period of time, I have overcome so many of my fears related to fear of embarrassment, fear of speaking in public, fear of public humiliation, fear of being judged, simply by blogging. Okay. So when I first started blogging, like my very first blog post back in 2006, my very first blog post that I wrote, I think it took me like 2 days to write it. I wrote the blog post, then I read it, then I thought to myself, oh man, I don't know if I should publish this. People might think I'm stupid, or people might think, my opinion is stupid or whatever. And then I rewrote the blog post, and I read it again, and I rewrote it again, and then I showed it to my wife. And then finally, after like 2 days, I published that blog post. Now at the time, I had like no visitors, no traffic, nobody even knew my blog existed. So really I was publishing it, and the only person that was really looking at my blog was myself, and maybe a couple people that I shared the web address with. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But the beauty with blogging is that it allows you to overcome this fear of embarrassment in public speaking and all this stuff very gently by breaking it down into very small incremental steps that you can kind of overcome one at a time, instead of essentially throwing you into the deep end of the pool all at once. Okay, so by writing your very first blog post and publishing it, it may sound scary to you at first, and a lot of people don't start blogs because they're afraid of this, right? They're afraid of this. Well, what will people think? And they're afraid to share their opinion. And what you might have to do is you might have to start a blog post or start a blog, and your very first blog post, or the very first 10 or 20 or 50 blog posts, may simply have to be blog posts where you're not really sharing your opinion too much, but you're, for example, reporting the news. Like, as an example, just yesterday I was looking on Facebook, and a bunch of people have been posting this new battery that Tesla has released. It's a battery for your home that you can essentially plug into your house grid, and if the power goes out, you can run your house off the battery. Or you can also hook up a solar array and feed solar power into this battery, and then run your home partially from solar power or completely from solar power if you go off the grid or whatever. Anyways, so this is like an article that has been on the internet today and yesterday and the day before since he announced it. And that's a piece of news that a lot of people are sharing on Facebook, and it's pretty easy to share a piece of news. So your first blog post might simply be something like that, where you write a blog post and you say, hey guys, check it out. I just found out that Tesla just released a home battery. Here's a video of him where he talks about this announcement. I think this thing is pretty cool. And then you just publish that as your first blog post. You haven't really stated your opinion on anything too much. There's very little that people can judge you on this type of blog post, because all you're really doing is just sharing some news that came out on that day. And you can pick a specific niche for your blog, or a set of niche markets that you're going to be in, and then you can just report news in that niche market in order to get through this first set of, let's say, 5 or 10 or 20 blog posts that you want to publish on your blog. And as you do that, you're going to overcome your fear of, public speaking, public ridicule, or being judged publicly, or being embarrassed. You're going to overcome it just by a tiny little bit, right? Like, let's say 1%. And then you write your second blog post, and your third blog post, and your fourth blog post, and now you overcome it by 3 or 4%. And every blog post that you're going to write, that's going to help you overcome that fear just a little tiny bit. And over time, you'll get to the point where you'll be able to write longer blog posts, have more of your opinion in those blog posts. You'll be able to say things that are a little bit more polarizing, right? You'll be able to share stronger opinions that you have on, specific topics. And you're not going to have that fear of being judged or ridiculed. Because as you keep writing more and more blog posts, you're going to start to develop your confidence. Your confidence is going to go up. And eventually you might get to the point where all of a sudden you feel like you have enough confidence to start doing videos, right? And you might make your very first YouTube video like this one. And again, you might have to start with a very simple topic. You might have to start with, a video where you're just sharing some news in your industry, whatever you're blogging about. And then eventually you might work your way through to creating videos where you're sharing more of your opinion and yourself with people. Because your confidence is going to go up, and it's going to become easier and easier to put more of yourself out there in the world, okay? So that's one of the huge benefits that I've derived from blogging, and that I've seen other people derive from blogging, is that it's especially important for people who are introverted, but also a lot of extroverted people. In some areas of their life, they're very confident and they have no problem talking to people, but in other areas of their life, they have a lot of fear, and they are afraid of being judged and ridiculed and being embarrassed. And what I found is that blogging can actually help, both types of people, both introverted people and extroverted people, to get more confidence in those areas of their life, okay? So I would highly recommend trying that out. If you have this fear, and a lot of people do, and, you've been thinking about, well, how do I overcome this fear, or maybe you're thinking, maybe I'll just avoid, anything to do with that kind of stuff where people can judge me or ridicule me or whatever it is. But if you do that, what you're basically doing is you're robbing yourself from an opportunity to achieve your dreams in your life. Because I guarantee you, your dreams are going to require for you to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, and to grow as a person, and to put more of yourself out into the world, share more of your opinions, share more of your perspectives, and to, just get more of who you are expressed in this world. It doesn't matter whether you're an artist or a musician, a writer, a teacher, a healer, an engineer. It doesn't really matter what it is that you do and what your passions are in life. If you're playing small because you're afraid of being embarrassed, you'll never make your dreams come true. You'll always have this fear hanging over your head. So I highly recommend starting a blog. If you haven't started a blog already, or if you have blogged in the past, but you kind of gave up on it, because maybe the reason why you were blogging originally was for some other reason, right? Maybe you weren't blogging to overcome this fear. But you know, and I didn't start blogging to overcome that fear either. It just kind of happened automatically as like a little added bonus, right? But if you haven't started a blog, or if you have started a blog and kind of stopped, you know, blogging, I'd highly encourage you to, you know, consider blogging on a regular basis and using your, you know, your blog as an opportunity to overcome this fear in your life. And even if it takes you a year, even if it takes you 2 years to get to the point where, you know, you've written enough blog posts, or you've gotten to the point where you're now creating videos and you've put out enough videos to completely overcome this fear, even if it takes you 2 years, right? Who cares, right? If you think about it, 2 years is not a long time. And if you can overcome this fear completely in your life, the rest of your life can be completely different, right? The rest of your life, you can have so much more freedom. You can have so much more freedom to express yourself. You can have so much more freedom to express who you are. You can have so much more freedom to provide value in the world. You can have so much more freedom to achieve your dreams, because you've overcome this fear instead of allowing this fear to paralyze you and to stop you from all the different things that you want to do in your life, right? And, you know, there are different ways to overcome fears. You know, you could just kind of throw yourself at the deep end of the pool. Like some people, what they do is they'll join a group like Toastmasters, or they'll just put themselves in a position where they have to go in front of a group of people and do some public speaking. And, you know, that's one way to overcome your fears. But for a lot of people, they won't even do that. It's too scary. It's like, oh, I don't want to do that because that's going to force me to, you know, to overcome that fear way too quickly, right? And, you know, a lot of people will avoid doing what they need to do because that fear is just too paralyzing for them. And what I love about blogging is that it helps you overcome that fear in very small incremental steps, like little tiny baby steps that anyone can do, right? Writing a blog post is not that difficult. And especially if you're, you know, doing something like I just described, where you're writing a blog post where you're not really sharing your opinion too much, you're just reporting something that has happened in the industry that your blog, you know, is writing in. So I would recommend that you try that out. Now, once again, if many of you know, if you've been watching my videos, I'm a big fan of the Kalatu platform, the Kalatu blogging platform. I'll put a link below this video if you want to, you know, if you want to get access to this blogging platform, or you can just go to freeyounow.com and click on any of the banners I have on my site for, you know, starting a blog. And I'll put a link below this video as well in the description that you can click on it and you can get signed up for this blogging platform. Or if you know, if you already have a blog, then just start blogging, right? And I guarantee you, if you know, by the time you've written a couple hundred blog posts, you will have overcome this fear. And then you can start making videos. And when you start doing videos, by the time you make a couple hundred videos, you'll overcome your fear of public speaking, public ridicule, and being judged publicly, and having that, you know, fear of embarrassment. You'll overcome that. It's not difficult, right? Because you're doing it in small incremental baby steps. All right. So that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.